It's really hard to detect a submarine that is hiding under the ice.
Anti-submarine warfare is always like a game of cat and mouse. So you always try to detect, you also try to avoid being detected, and it mainly relies on sound.
It is super early in the morning, and we are on our way to Norway.
To figure out how climate change is changing sound in the ocean and why that makes it harder to find submarines underneath the ice. In the frozen Arctic, the decades-old game of cat and mouse between NATO and Russia is heating up. In Tom Clancy's thriller, the Red October was built for silence.
We've just been overflown by a low-altitude multi-engine turboprop.
Put it on audio.
Water entry of small objects.
Sonar boys.
Battle stations.
Russia's next-generation submarines are even stealthier, which makes detection harder. But there's another player in this game, Mother Nature. As the ocean warms, the way sound travels is changing, rendering NATO's old listening technology ineffective. And if you can't hear them, you can't find them.
The project that I'm leading currently is interested in looking at the implication of the changing Arctic in anti-submarine warfare.
I mean, the last known position, it was almost 1 day ago.
Yeah.
So
drone is out of line of sight.
This summer, a NATO research team sailed deep into the sea ice to map how sound travels in this new environment. Chief Scientist Gauthier Rial kept our team updated from the voyage.
The fact that now this is an area in the world where everything is changing so fast makes it a fantastic playground for science, but also an area of huge strategical importance.
For years, Russia has been beefing up its military in the Arctic.
Так только здесь, на Севмаше, до 2030 года планируется построить 6 новых атомных подводных лодок.
To locate those submarines, Allied forces rely on detailed calculations of how sound travels.
And sometimes it can travel very far, and it's the only vector of information underwater. You cannot use radio, you cannot use optics, I cannot see nothing.
Basically, the only way to see under the ice is to hear.
From the Alliance, we have an acoustic source that transmits signals that we know, and the signals that we are sending are interacting with the ice at the surface.
It's another early flight for me this morning. I'm heading from Oslo up to Tromsø.
I've just arrived in Tromsø here, which is hundreds of miles north of Oslo and deep into the Arctic Circle.
After 24 days at sea, the ship docked in Norway's Arctic city Tromsø, a hub for research and defence. The crew cleared away classified material before they let us on board.
I finally made it here to the ship. It docked last night. Even from here, there's a sense of relief that this expedition has come to an end. 3.5 weeks is a long time to be out at sea without any reprieve.
Well, welcome to NATO's floating laboratory. This is the NATO Research Vessel Alliance, actually the only ship in the world with NATO in its title. It is one of the quietest ships ever built, and it's designed for acoustic science.
It was built for acoustic research in the late 80s, when Cold War fears were still fresh. In the early 2000s, things were calmer, and the ship took on a new role in Wes Anderson's The Life Aquatic.
I certainly know how you feel. Some crooked just stripped my C-Lab, you know.
Probably the same dudes.
How did you get my espresso machine?
Well, we stole it, man.
The funny thing about the Alliance is that it's a great ship to conduct acoustic measurement because it's super silent, and then you have the noisiest coffee machine in the world on board. Here you go.
pictures. Basically, a lot of the stuff that we're doing happens here on this deck. So this is actually 3 acoustic transducers. You see them here, 1, 2, 3. What they do is that they resonate, so they transform electrical power into vibration, and then they transmit sound on the water. This winch also, this is a very huge one, and so typically during this cruise we deployed some mooring, so basically a line that is attached on the seafloor over more than 2,000 meter depth. So you have a huge weight that maintains it on the seabed, and then you have this vertical line with temperature sensor, conductivity sensor, salinity sensor, and acoustic recorders that work on what we call a duty cycle.
Temperature and salinity, salt content, are key factors in the underwater soundscape. As melting ice adds fresh water, the ocean becomes less salty, and that can slow down the speed of sound. But when warmer water moves in, it makes sound travel faster. Sound also bounces off things, so the texture of the ice matters too.
This is the environment we were working with for about a month. So this is a shot from above, from a drone. We used drone to do remote sensing of what was happening at the surface. So mainly we're interested in looking at the melting sea ice. And so you see this distribution of ice flow. This is what we're trying to characterize. There's another video where you see this guy, an ROV that is piloted by one of our engineers that actually goes from a workboat under the ice flows. And so we were interested in having different setups, different configuration. One where you have like a lot of big chunks of ice, where you basically have something a little bit more fluid or slushy ice that is characteristic of what's happening at the ice edge typically.
Large areas of the Arctic now have the ice edge conditions that these scientists have studied. That means there's much more water with the slushy texture of a frozen margarita, rather than, say, a whiskey on the rocks.
If you understand the physics of sound propagation, then you can optimize, for example, the type of signal that you are using to detect what you're looking for. It feels like time is literally stopping when you embark on a ship and on a mission like this. For me, it was the first time seeing the sea ice. I mean, we have internet connection, but you still feel strongly disconnected from the real world, which is a good thing because you can focus on the purpose of why you are here.
That purpose may be scientific, but it's also military, and Russia was watching. A Russian spotter jet passed over the ship on July 11th as it headed north. In Norway, near NATO's northern border, there is a deep apprehension about what Russia might do next with its juiced-up northern fleet.
This is the largest city in the Arctic that's not in Russia. The Arctic is important. There's an economic strand to this, there's a military strand to this, and there's also an environmental strand to this. They all intersect very closely in this region. NATO countries in particular are really keen to build up their presence here and shore up their defences because they're seeing Russia do exactly that.
What we have seen is from, say, submarine activity and long-range aviation from the Russian side. That picked up already around 2010-11. We've seen some more increase in Allied activity, of course, because Russia attacked Ukraine in 2014. Then submarines, nuclear deterrence came back on the agenda, and that is influencing this region. So we see a lot of submarine activity and submarine warfare activity.
And how difficult are Russian submarines to detect at the moment?
Russian submarines are difficult to detect. It's always been difficult. And Russia is still investing in renewing the submarine fleet. So newer submarines becoming ever more quiet.
An Arctic with less ice means new trade routes, access to new resources, and, experts say, potential collision between Russia and NATO.
What do you think are the climate change implications on defence across the Arctic region?
It's profound. Since the early 2000s, the Russian authorities have been talking about the necessity of strengthening Russian positions in the region. One of Russia's major objectives has been to turn the Arctic into Russia's foremost base for natural resources. So exploration, exploitation of minerals, metals, biological resources and the Northern Sea Route, which opens for international and Russian traffic.
Well, I think we should be concerned. We see Russia trying to control commerce and flow through the Arctic, with the sea change, with the ice melt.
Do you think Russia sees climate change as a threat or an opportunity?
I think both. I think they see that there's benefit to them. They're a fishing nation. They're a nation that gets a large percentage of their gross domestic product from Arctic and coastal capabilities. But I also think that they know they're not as capable as the West militarily, and that protecting that large Arctic coastline as the ice recedes creates tremendous vulnerabilities, and they know the United States and other Western nations can capitalize on those vulnerabilities. So I do believe they're concerned about it.
The Arctic is still low tension, but it's linked to conflicts across the world, and it might not take much to break the fragile calm.